Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Change Book podcast. I hope everyone had a great 4th of July here. I know I did, except for the next day. We kind of had a tropical depression that kept us in the house for about 15 hours, but I'm doing great. And this is a really fun day for me because we have an international guest. So I want to welcome Tracey Chapman to our stage. Tracey, how are you today?
I'm very good, thank you, Nicole, and thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure to be part of and being invited to the podcast.
Well, I'm really excited to talk to you, and I want to point out to everyone that it's 7:30 a.m. here in the States on the East Coast. Tracey's getting ready to go to bed. It's nighttime there. So she graciously said she would do this interview, and I want to thank you for that, Tracey.
No, thank you for asking me, Nicole. Yes, so I'm in Perth, Western Australia, so complete opposite time zone. So I'm at night and you're in the morning.
Yeah, but we're going to have a good conversation. So I'm very curious, what made you pick the Change Book?
They reached out to me actually to be a part of the book, and I looked at it and I had to sit with it for a little while because I've already authored 2 books. I'm part of 2 other books as well as co-authors, sharing my message. But the change really inspired me, and what really caught me was the words "the change," because to me, life really is about transformation, how you view and live your life. And I'm of the belief that we're always going through a change, and I liken our lives to like a book. We're always turning the pages. There's always a new page to write. There's always a new chapter in front of us. There's always the chapters behind us, but life is change, and that's what really inspired me, was the name of the book.
Oh, and that makes so much sense because, as I look back on my life, that change is the only thing we can count on.
That's right. Our tomorrows are never promised. Our days are never promised. So we might wake up in the morning, but something might happen during that day. And, so it's really about every moment that you can make of this beautiful life that we all get to live while we're here on this planet.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. And, I get up every morning and I believe we're different people. We get to start new and fresh every day. So what are you going to pick? Are you going to pick empowerment, or are you going to feel sorry for yourself? Or how are you going to use this day to make a difference?
That's exactly right. And not every day is going to be an amazing, great day. And we've got to allow ourselves to have, because things do happen, and sometimes things happen to us or in our life or to people, our loved ones, that we have no control over. But it's how we actually view it and how we see those moments and those days. And then also allowing every single emotion that we are gifted with, not trying to suppress or hide emotions. And I say to people that I work with, especially if they're going through something that's quite traumatic and they're really struggling with something which is keeping them not enjoying life and not living that beautiful, joyful life, I just say, look, if you were at a dinner party, what emotions would you invite to that dinner party? And they struggle to answer that. And I always sit and say to them, well, let's invite all these emotions that you're struggling with, your sadness, your fear, all those emotions that people don't want to address. I say, let's have those to the dinner party because they deserve space. They deserve to be listened to. And until you sit and hold them like a child, those emotions aren't going to go away. They need that space in your life to share what their gift is to you to grow from, or what that emotion needs. It doesn't need to be shoved in that Pandora's box, like most people do. And I learned that lesson the hard way.
I did as well. So that really resonates with me. But I love the way you're describing that, cradle your emotions. And sometimes people are so afraid of their emotions that they just shove them down as far deep as they can. But as I look back at myself, I learned from mine. And I think that's what you're saying. How do you convince people that negative, even positive or negative, but negative emotions are not necessarily a bad thing?
I will share my story, because
Okay.
sometimes people don't understand what you're actually saying or why you say that or why I say that. And if I see that they're really are coming up against it and really don't want to sit with those emotions, then I will open up personally and will share why I say that. And then they go, oh, because they've never thought of it from someone who's actually gone through it themselves. Because a lot of in teachings, in coachings, and that comes from textbooks. But when you hear it from someone who has felt that depth of the darkest emotions, share something themselves, and that they have been able to get through it, that's when I'm able to help them, because I really went through the darkest of darkest emotions. But I've got myself to the other side where life really is joyful. And to me, and that's what I coach people on, is creativity. My creativity died when my son died. And I just thought everything is grey. And it was so hard to get through that, and so hard to get myself out of what I was going through. But it was when I realized that I wasn't seeing the beauty in life anymore. Everything around me was grey. And it was when I really discovered that there is beauty. It was my creativity, my joy for life went with my son. So then I went on that journey of healing and discovering and allowing, because I wouldn't allow my emotions, because it was so traumatic that it was breaking me to go back into those horrible, horrible, painful emotions. But then I realized until I did that, I wasn't going to heal. So I had to sit and allow myself to sit in those really, really sad emotions and allow them that space at that dinner table, because they were wanting to be heard. And I wasn't allowing myself to hear them. So I was never healing or moving forward. I always had this within me, and it's the Wayne Dyer saying, when you squeeze an orange, what do you get? Orange juice. But when you were squeezing me, you were just getting anger and upset and moodiness, and I wasn't enjoying life and enjoying the world. And that's what was coming out, because I didn't have the joy within me. I had to find that joy again. And the only way I found that joy was allowing every single emotion that I needed to feel and go through to have my healing, as much as it was so painful. But it also helped my health and everything as well, because my health was suffering because I was shoving everything down, and the body was telling me that you need to do something, Tracey. So yes, that's why I know I've walked that path. And when I share that with people, they go, oh, so then they tenderly start stepping into the emotions. I says, you just got to hold the space for it. And I hold the space with you as well. If you want to scream, yell, cry, which is what I did, go for it. You've got to let that out.
Oh, yeah. And you said something that to me is very, very important, is your body told you. Your body. And I personally believe if we will sit there long enough in silence and just listen to our body will tell us everything we need to know. How would you convey that to a client, how brilliant our body is?
Our bodies are very clever. And because I'm a fitness fanatic, I've been right into fitness all my life. So I'm quite attuned into my body. But during that time, I wasn't following my own intuition. So my stomach I was having so many problems with my stomach and so many problems with my back and, the headaches and the neck. So all this pain was coming out within my body. And it wasn't healing. It didn't matter what I tried. It just wasn't healing until bit by bit, I allowed these emotions to come through, because your body holds emotions in different spots depending on the emotion that you've actually got. So a lot of mine was suppressed in my stomach. I was having a lot of stomach issues. So eating was a bit of a nightmare. And my back was just a nightmare, and my neck. So I was constantly going to the chiro and never getting anywhere, spending lots and lots of money, but just with these aches and pains. And until I just sort of sat and went, what are you trying to tell me? So just sitting and listening. And it's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. But I think if you really want to, and a lot of people don't realise that they're how they are. They don't realise how much they've suppressed things. It's only when you listen to how you interact with your friends, your husband, your animals, and that side of it, you'll start seeing, oh, gee, maybe it's actually me. I'm the one that's being a little bit grumpy. Maybe I need to look at my own behaviour.
and that's a great epiphany as well, is that, well, gosh, maybe I'm part of the problem. It's when you look in that mirror and you're like, oh, wait, I haven't addressed me yet.
Yes. Yeah. And my dog taught me too, because I'm a lover of animals, and I've got two dogs. One, unfortunately, has just passed away, and my little corgi, and they're very intuitive. And she was picking up on my emotions and feelings and being uptight and stressed and all the rest of it. And I realised she was picking up on me. And I went, oh, okay, something's going on here.
And I totally agree with you on animals. They're nothing but pure love, first of all, and they don't judge, and they are so intuitive. They are so intuitive. I mean, just they can sense it and just come lay on you, and you're like, oh my gosh, my heart. So I truly believe animals can heal us if we give them the chance. They're much more aware than we are at times.
They are, because they're there for you. They'll always be there and give you that love and compassion and all the rest of it. But if you're snappy and grumpy and angry all the time, then they don't quite know what to do. That's trying to get your attention. And she really taught me that, Tracey, you're being a little bit snappy here. You need to
knock it off. Okay, Tracey, we're done. Oh goodness, that's a sweet way to put it. But they're so patient with us. They're so patient with us. And as I'm looking over your mission statement, why life is worth living. Now, you went through probably the hardest lesson anyone could go through would be losing a child. I can't even fathom it, the pain. But, I look at you now, you're gorgeous. You're speaking about it. You're talking about the animals. What was your epiphany that said my life is worth living?
I suppose I'll back it up from losing my son, which was just so traumatic and sent me to just deep and dark places. It was September 2016, I was hit by a car, because I'm a big cyclist, and I was hit by a car cycling early morning up this hill, and I said my goodbyes, because it was really a powerful collision, and I didn't think I was going to come out of that. And when I came out of that, I thought my back was broken. So it took me 7 operations, because a lot of my legs were damaged, without going into the story. So the value of what life is, because why did I survive that? Because so many of friends that I know that I cycle with didn't survive those accidents. So life really is to be valued. And then June the next year, 2017, I had the horrible news that my son was missing. And that was the most devastating news to hear, that unfortunately we have found him and he has passed. A mother to hear that from a stranger was just so soul destroying, because a mother carries a child in her womb. You give birth to that child and you have this profound connection, and I had a profound connection with him. So for me to get myself out of that loss, I really valued what life was and everyone and everything around me, because I don't know what my tomorrow is going to be. You know, I survived the cycling accident, but that phone call and my son not being here anymore, I don't know what the next hour is going to give me. So it's valuing everything that I have now, because I can't, nothing's promised to me. So I value my husband and my son and, you know, everything that I have, and, you know, the beauty of this life. So it really taught me the value of life.
Wow. Now, how do you teach people about gratitude when you've gone through something like this?
I know everyone, to me, gratitude it seems to be a buzzword a little bit at the moment.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
Yeah, and I suppose when you're in those deep, dark places, well, like I can only speak from where I was, in not even wanting to get out of bed in the morning, because I didn't think there was anything worth getting out of bed in the morning. So then it was breaking everything down to the minutest little thing, because when you're in a position like that, and that's why I think there is so much suicide now, is because there is so much pain within people's lives. They can't see the light on the other side, because there's something within them that really is just so soul destroying to them. And saying that to them, they don't see gratitude. So it's getting that person to, well, okay, when you get up in the morning, just sit, look around. What can you be thankful for? Is your husband there? Is it a cup of tea someone has given you? Is it just feeling the earth underneath your feet? If you're not feeling good in that morning, what makes you feel good? What used to make you feel good? Walking on the ocean, walking outside in nature. Do you have a dog? Giving that dog a cuddle. You've got to break it right down to the minutest little things that they can find joy with. And that's where I bring in the gratitude, is those tiny little things that are going to light you up. Because when you're in those dark places, gratitude isn't something that's going to help them, because they don't know how to find it.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Now, one of your books is called "My Mess is My Message." I love that. I love that. Is that pertaining to this dark time that you went through?
I was asked by two different people, so I've got two books, and the other book is A Resilient Life. So My Mess is My Message, that was the name that this lady that wanted to do a co-authored book, that was the name she wanted to give it. And it was using your mess as a message to other people. So there's 12 other inspiring women that also share stories in it, how their mess has become their message. So my mess of losing my son, my message is life isn't promised, and to value what you actually have every day. Yeah.
I love that. And, I do think that is such a good title, because each and every one of us at some point, whether you see it now or you look back and see it, we've all of us have gone through some kind of mess or another. And when you're so mired in it, you're like, how am I, why am I here? How am I ever going to get out of this? And it's only when we look back, and I'm not saying this for everyone, but what I went through with a divorce and the cheating And I look at it now as it didn't happen to me, it happened for me, because it changed who I was in a way that, I was actually more understanding. I was kinder. I listened differently. I didn't, throw out, well, did you try this? Did you try this? Because everyone's on their own timeline. And
Yes.
sometimes I just held space. When you're ready, if you want to talk, which you don't have to. And did you find that for you, that it was just every day a process here, a process there?
It was, especially, well, in both scenarios, actually, even after my cycling accident and not being able to walk for such a long period of time. The life that I had was ripped away from me with my exercise and the walking and the running and getting out. So I had to break everything right down to get through the pain and the operations and everything, and also having a very different body, because it wasn't this athletic body that I always had. I couldn't live in what I did have, because then the mind is very easy then to go plummeting down into, all sorts of mental health type issues. And that wasn't something I actually wanted for myself, and I didn't want that for my family, because I looked at it, well, I wasn't taken, I was still left here, but in a different form, but I still can walk in different ways. Maybe I can't run like I used to, but I still have this body and I still have this life. So it was breaking down to what I do actually have, not looking at what I did have. And that's where I say sometimes you've got to close that chapter to what you had, because that's always in the past. You can never move back to the past, and you can never live in the future. You only have what you actually have here. And what am I going to create with this here, this now that I actually have?
Yeah, that's so important to realize that all you have is the now. You
Yeah.
can't pass, the future's not guaranteed. So that moment is so special, and it's one of the things is you do life-saving work disguised as transformation. And I love that, but I'm curious, why do you have to disguise it, I guess?
Because it is transformation, and I get people that I work with, the transformation that they have is to actually being a very vibrant, joyful person again. Because there are so many coaches out there, and I'm not putting fingers on anyone else and saying I'm better or anything else. But when you're working with someone who's walked the depth of the journeys that I've walked on, I can really relate to a lot of what people are going through. It's not from textbooks, it's from real transformation. So that real deep internal transformation, because I can tap into and I can really feel what they're feeling, because I've felt it myself. Yeah. Not all of it, but a lot of it I have felt myself. So that understanding really brings that transformation, because they can see that I've gone through it and I've come out the other side, and they go, I want what you've got now.
Yeah. And I think for me, that was very important, that I had gone through the pain to get to where I'm at. And I think I can resonate more with someone who's going through it, because I still remember the pain. It just doesn't take a hold of my life. That's not who I am anymore. Yes. But I think it's real important for someone who is doing this work to at least have some sort of understanding of the painful part and the angry part, and the looking at yourself in the mirror part, and taking responsibility for you. Because if I hadn't done that, I don't think I'd be sitting here talking to you, or have written a chapter in the Change book. So I agree with you on that. And I know that I want to hear your keynote speaker.
Yes.
What
Yes.
what do you have a signature speech, or what do you talk about to people to just guide them or help them? What is your signature speech?
It does depend on where I'm speaking. So, because some of you have what they want you to speak about,
Mhm.
but mine is always about the transformation, and that I show people that life is to be life is joyful. So really, it doesn't matter what we've been through, because we're all going to go through challenges. It's not living within those challenges. It's actually living on the other side of that, and actually really finding who you are, because you can never go back to a past person of who you were. It's really doing that work of who are you going to be now. And that person is usually so much more powerful because of what their experiences are. And that's always what I tend to always talk around, is the joy of what life actually is, and you've been given a gift, and finding what that gift is within you, because you were put on this planet for a reason, and what you've been through has shown you that you really do have a gift within you, and it's tapping into what that gift actually is. Might be, I'm not going to swear on here, it might have been the worst thing for you to go through, and everyone says that, things happen to you for a reason. You go, well, why on earth did this happen to me? For a reason. But it's actually sitting within that and going, well, okay, addressing all parts of you and allowing that real person of who you are on this side of what you've been through to come through. And then I find that you live so much more a connected life because of what you've been through.
We're almost out of time, and this went
Yes.
so fast, but you are I can see how you could transform lives, and you're such an eloquent speaker, just speaking here. And
Oh, thank you, Nicole.
I actually have goosebumps listening to you. I mean, for you to come here and sit there and talk about the loss you've gone through and have risen up to help other people, I think is just such amazing, amazing work. And I can see how you could get through to people, just
Thank you.
your the calmness that you have. And I love talking to you. I love hearing from you. It's absolutely amazing. So I just want to tell our audience, this lady has knowledge. She has wisdom. And I can just tell from your voice you could help others. But before we go, can you just give us just a little nugget to take with us through this day today?
To me, I come back to creativity. Without creativity, there is nothing. We all have creativity within us, and creativity is what gives us that joy, that color, that light. It doesn't matter whether it's at work, in your relationships, cooking a meal for, your family. It's that creativity that you have within you. What's that beautiful little gift that you have within you? Because you do have something within you that is so valuable to this world, and it's finding that little gift. Because some of us think that we don't, but you do. We all do. And it's finding that little gift of who you are.
That is absolutely beautiful. So to our audience out there, I have put some links where you can find Tracey. I would highly recommend getting a hold of her. If nothing else, just to say hi, because I know this conversation
Yes.
This conversation has changed my life. I know she could do the same for you. But Tracey, this has been absolutely wonderful. I thank you for coming on. I know we have that huge time difference, but you are life-changing, and I thank you for that.
Thank you, Nicole, and thank you for having me too. Thank you, and it's really nice meeting you.
It's wonderful, and I'm sure we'll talk again. Everybody have a wonderful Monday. Be safe, and Tracey, thank you again.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you.